Shri Vrindavan ki jai, Shri Mayapur Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Antaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrindi ki jai, Nita Gaur Pramanandi, all glories to simple devotees, all glories to simple devotees, all glories to simple devotees, all glories to Shri Guru Angaranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Ram Chaiva Narottamam.
Ram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatam Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatam Vyasam.
Sojayam Udirayat.
Sodayam Udirayat.
Nastapreshu Badreshu.
Nastapreshu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttamashloke.
Bhagavate Uttamashloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as a irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we are coming to the end of the 20th chapter. We won't finish it today, it'll be finished tomorrow. But this chapter is entitled Lord Vishnu's Appearance in the Sacrificial Arena. And well, now Lord Vishnu is about to disappear from the sacrificial arena and go back to his abode. But anyway, this text talks about the all-attractive feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As we know, when the Lord appears on this earth, he appears for three reasons: to deliver the pious, to attract all living entities, to annihilate the miscreants, and reestablish the principles of religion. So in appearing, also what he does is everybody that sees him immediately feels some attraction towards him. Just about everybody, unless they're really inimical. But even then, they can get liberation if they're constantly thinking of him. But with that said, he appears to tend to attract all the living entities. And so this text today talks about the all-attractive feature of Vishnu. It's going to be described here. Bhagavan api rajashe sopadhyayasya chachuta haram iva manomusha swadama prayat padyata Bhagavan api rajashe sopadhyayasya chachuta Haram eva manomusha Swadama pratyapadyata Bhagavan api rajashe Sopadhyayasya chachuta Haram eva manomusha Swadama prayatpadyata Please chant.
Bhagavana Pirajashe Sopadya Yasya Chachtuta Mahavivamanusha Swadama Pratyapadyata
Bhagavana Pirajashe Sopadhyayasya Chachita
Sopadhyayasya Chachtuta
Haraniva Manubhusya Swadama Pratyapadyata
Swadama Pratyapadyata
Bhagavan api rajarshe Upadhyayasya chatyutah Haraniva manomusya Svadhama pratyapadyata
Alright, word for word. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Api, also. Rajashe, of the Saintly King. Sa Upadhyayasya, along with the priest. Along with all the priests. Cha, also. Achutaha, the infallible Lord. Haran, captivating. Eva, indeed. Manaha, the mind. Amuksha, of him. Swadama, to his abode. Pratyapadyate, returned. Translation. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead, having captivated the minds of the king and the priest who are present, returned to his abode in the spiritual sky. Please repeat. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead, having captivated the minds of the king and the priests who were present, returned to his abode in the spiritual sky. Purports. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all spiritual, he can descend from the spiritual sky without changing his body, and thus he is known as Achutya, or infallible. When a living entity falls down to the material world, however, he has to accept a material body, and therefore, in his material embodiment, he cannot be called Achutya, because he falls down from his real engagement in the service of the Lord. The living entity gets a material body to suffer or try to enjoy in the miserable material conditions of life. Therefore, the following living entity is Shuta, whereas the Lord is called Achuta. The Lord was attractive for everyone, not only the king, but also the priestly order, who are very much addicted to the performance of Vedic rituals. Because the Lord is all attractive, he is called Krishna, or one who attracts everyone. The Lord appeared in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Prithu as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who is a plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. He is the second incarnation from Karnadakshayi Vishnu, who is the original of the material creation, and who expands as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who then enters into each and every universe. Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is one of the Purushas who control the material modes of nature. Om Srinam Dashagana Jana Shlakaya Chakshuru Minitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vaishnav Savitamyana Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dedade Swapadantikam Vande Ham Shiguro Shiyuta Parakamalam Shigurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Kapikakanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustate Devi Pranamami Haripriya Pancha Kalpatruvishcha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patisanam Pavnevyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All right, so Lord Vishnu came in this sacrificial arena of Maharaj Prithu to stop Maharaj Prithu from killing Indra after Indra tried to steal his horse. And as we know, Krishna never does just one thing at a time. He's always doing multiple things at a time. So he fulfilled his purpose, stopping Prithu Maharaj killing Indra. But also, he captivated the minds of everyone that were present, including these priests who are addicted to the performance of Vedic rituals. And this is the thing. Usually priests are very pious, but these particular priests, they're pious because they were doing Vedic rituals. But Vedic rituals quite often are meant to get some material benefit, for once material benefit as for a result. And ultimately, that's kind of what these sacrifices, that's why kings do them, for some material benefit for the population, for themselves, all these things. But anyway, there are many things in which the living entities are attracted by. And when the living entity comes down into this material world, they become attracted to Krishna's external energy. And so they go after that, thinking that to be the all in all. And when they go after this external energy, there is suffering and there is enjoyment. They get caught in this web of repeated suffering and enjoyment. So Krishna, being the kind person that he is, he comes and he tries to attract the living entities back to him, to show the living entities, I'm actually the most attractive, and what you're really attracted to, and what you really want. And so therefore, Lord Vishnu came. And when he came, he captivated the minds of everyone because he's very beautiful. In the Shish Upanishad, which is a text that gradually elevates the person from this impersonal conception, we see Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate. So it starts from this more like impersonal conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because it's saying that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, because he's completely perfect. All emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. But it doesn't really talk about, who is this Supreme Personality of Godhead? What does he look like? What does he do? That's not in the verse. So even though it's saying the Supreme Personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, you don't really get these details. So gradually, the Shish Upanishad, the way it is written, it's meant to bring one gradually from this impersonal conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead all the way up to a personal conception. And so we get to mantra 15. And these last four mantras, they're spoken by what appears to be a devotee, although the name is not mentioned. And in mantra 15, all of a sudden we get this verse. Harinmayena patrena satyasya pahitam mukam tatvam pusham apavrinu satya dharmaya drishtaye. Oh my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. And this dazzling effulgence, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is no small light bulb. It's a very beautiful thing. I had a family member that when she was a small child, it was Christmas time. And she wanted, at Christmas time, parents tend to tell their children, the sooner you go to sleep, the sooner Santa Claus will come. Because children are believing that Santa Claus is bringing all the presents. And so the parents will wait till the child goes to sleep. And then they'll set all the presents out. And then the child wakes up in the morning. Oh, look what Santa Claus has brought you. And like this. But it can be quite a struggle sometimes to get the children to sleep. Because the kids are very excited about what will come in the morning. So this relative of mine, she was maybe about 3 or 4 years old. She told me the story that her parents had told her, go to sleep. And when you go to sleep, Santa Claus will come. The sooner you go to sleep, the sooner he will come, the sooner you can wake up and see all your presents. So when they weren't paying attention, because you know how kids are always getting into stuff, she said she got into the medicine cabinet and she drank like half a bottle of this medicine that's supposed to make you tired, which was not a very good thing. She had this near-death experience, she told me, where she went to sleep, but she saw this dazzling effulgence all around her. And she said it was the most beautiful lights I had ever seen in my entire life. I just wanted to go towards it. I didn't want to go back. It's very hard to explain, light, how light could be so beautiful. But the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is like that. It's all attractive. Just like a moth, or fly is very attracted to like a flame or whatever, light flies right into it. So anyway, she told me, she said, she survived the experience, but she said, I never forgot the vision of that light that I saw. And so this is one understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth. You had the Brahman effulgence. But the Shish Upanishad in Mantra 15, it's taking one higher. And this devotee, he's saying, please kindly, please kindly remove this dazzling covering that's covering you and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So, if the Brahman effulgence is that beautiful, we can just imagine how much more beautiful Krishna actually is in full. When one actually sees the full body of Krishna. As I think I talked about in my last class, that when Krishna actually appears in front of the devotee, there's so many of these examples in Bhagavatam, from Dhruva Maharaj to Daksha, etc., etc. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, he actually appears in front of the devotee doesn't want anything else, nor can he even manage to ask the Supreme Personality of Godhead for anything else in that moment, because he's just so captivated by the beautiful appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything that they want, is attained right there in that darshan. So Krishna comes and he's wanting all living entities to actually become attracted to this, to become attracted to him. Because with doing these fruitive activities that these priests are doing, you might get some results. But as we can see with any material activity or with any material result that we get from anything, you get that, and then you have to get something else. It's like when I was a kid, I used to get these toys, very nice toys, and I'd be eager to play with them, and I'd open the toy, and it wouldn't work, and then I would look at the box that would say, batteries not included. You people have this experience? I don't think now everything is like chargeable nowadays. But even nowadays, they don't want to give you the thing that plugs into the wall. So if you don't already have, now they just give you the cords. So if you don't already have that little thing that, what do you call that? The cube. If you don't already have that, now then you still can't charge your thing. But I think they're going through that system. But even then, it's an example of how, you get something material and you need something else to maintain that. Like this iPhone here, I got this from Apple Store. And then separately, because these smartphones, we drop them, and what happens when we drop them? They break, right? You notice the flip phones? You could literally throw that thing in the ocean, stick it in a bag of rice, and it will still work. These iPhones, $700. You drop these things, it's finished, So I had to buy a case to protect the iPhone, because otherwise drop it and it would break. Also a case, but I've had so many screen protectors that I've had to buy on top of that, because screens get cracked. And, when your iPhone cracks, it's pretty expensive to fix it. People have now made a business for fixing phones. I saw when I was in Juarez, there was a business. Repara tu celular. Repair your cell phone. Even they have this in Mexico now. So we can see, by getting just one material thing, you had to have so many other material things to try to maintain that and try to keep that from being destroyed. Because this is the process of the material world. You go through this creation, maintenance, and destruction, things like this. However, when you see Krishna, you don't need anything else. Everything is perfect and complete in that darshan. So, Vishnu is coming, and he's dropping hints, trying to attract these priests, attract everybody else to him. Krishna is even attractive to people who are inimical towards him. We see in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, during the churning of the milk ocean. Because as we know, the demigods and the demons, they made a truce to churn the milk ocean. Because what were they wanting? This nectar of immortality. Because nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to go on living forever. So we hear there's this milk ocean and there's this nectar of immortality in it. So sometimes even enemies can become friends for such a purpose. So anyway, it's a big long story of how we got to this churning of the milk ocean. I don't have time to tell the whole entire thing. But the demigods and the demons, they all got together to churn this milk ocean. And it's a very difficult endeavor. Just like anything within this material world, if you want to achieve something great, you have to endeavor, as Prabhupada would say, work like an ass. And it's quite incredible when you read about this churning in the milk ocean, even just to get, what was it, Mount Meru that they used as the what do you call it? I'm a little bit tired. Churning rod, yeah. And Vasuki, they wrapped Vasuki around it. Even just to get that mountain, they had to lift it up, and it was so heavy that actually some of the demons and demigods started dying. So people lost their lives even before the ocean started to get churned. And then once they get Vasuki wrapped around, curled around, and everything, the demons, they don't want to hold the tail of Vasuki because they think, oh, we are so intelligent. We have studied all the Vedas. We are too good to hold the tail. People can have egos like this. So Vishnu is saying, okay, you come hold Vasuki's head. But they're bit off more than they could chew because Vasuki, he had these poisonous vapors coming from him, and it was burning, disturbing the demons. Vishnu was trying to help them out. They didn't want to take it. And so they're being disturbed by this. And later Vishnu has to save the situation. And anyway, long story short, poison's coming out of this ocean. All these different things are coming out of the ocean. What things come out of this ocean? Lakshmi Devi comes out of the ocean. Who else comes out of the ocean? Hayagriva comes out of the ocean. I think Aryabhata comes out of the ocean too. Aryabhata, Lord Indra's elephant. Aryabhata comes out of the ocean. What else comes out of the ocean? Dhanvantari, yes. Ayurveda. Many, many things. And then finally, the nectar comes. Tulsi Devi also, yeah. And then as whenever you get that goal, they became friends just for a moment. But then now they're all thinking, how can we get this nectar for ourselves? And so now the demigods, they have another problem. But the wonderful thing about the demigods, and why the demigods win every single time, is because they take shelter of the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. And so once again, they take shelter of the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, and what happens? What?
They're victorious.
Yes, but how do they become victorious? Mohini Murti. So this is getting to my point. Krishna is all attractive even to those who don't want to follow Krishna, who are inimical towards Krishna. So Lord Vishnu, knowing these demon guys, they're very lusty for women. So Krishna appears in his Mohini Murti incarnation, which is the most beautiful woman you could ever think of. It makes all these supermodels look like nothing. And this Mohini Murti incarnation appears, and all the demons are looking at her. And immediately the thought is, how can I get with that? How can I enjoy with that? They're captivated by lust. But until they see her, and they actually ask her, please, there's this dispute amongst us. Please help us solve it. Mohini Murti warns them, why are you trusting me? I am just a prostitute. Prostitutes, they make friends with people for their own personal benefit, and then they break it off with them. Which is quite funny that she's saying this, because this is the mentality that the demons just had, is it not? They're making friends with the demigods just for their own personal benefit. So it's a similar prostitute mentality. But anyway, they're so captivated by her. They don't care. She's that attractive. She's that beautiful. And so therefore, they give her the pot, and she starts giving it to all the demigods. And they notice this, but they think they still got a shot with her. So they don't want to ruin that. So they don't say anything. And then, finally, Rahu's like, I'm not putting up with this. And he sits in between the sun and the moon. But you can't cheat Vishnu. Vishnu notices this, chops off his head with Sudarshan chakra. But he had a little bit of this nectar, so his head became immortal. So therefore now we have the two shadow planets in astrology. Rahu, which is the head of that demon, and Ketu, which is the body of that demon. And so after this all goes down, later we see Lord Shiva himself. He wants to see this incarnation of Mohini Murti. And Lord Shiva, what's so captivating about this story with Lord Shiva is Lord Shiva is not disturbed by anybody. Parvati had to do so many things to try to get Lord Shiva's attention when she wanted to marry Shiva. And Shiva happened to be doing these austerities at the time that Parvati was trying to get his attention because he was sad over losing Sati. So he had gone into, this deep meditation to focus on Krishna and things like this. He took shelter of spiritual life. And Parvati was trying to get his attention, and she was doing all these things, and she couldn't. And then finally, she got Lord Shiva's attention, and Lord Shiva, agrees to marry her, and realizes that she's Sati and things like this. That's a whole other pastime I could tell, but we don't have time for that either. Maybe I'll tell it some other time. But anyway, and then why I'm bringing all this up is because the wife of Lord Shiva is Maya herself. Maya personified herself, who we're all captivated by. She's Mahamaya. And yet, Lord Shiva is able to be with her and, not be captivated by Maya himself. So he himself is thinking, nothing can captivate me. I won't be disturbed by anything. So he's wanting to see this incarnation of Mohini Murti. And he prays to Lord Vishnu to see this incarnation of Mohini Murti. And Vishnu's like, okay, I'll show it to you. And immediately when Vishnu manifests this incarnation of Mohini Murti, Lord Shiva just loses all sense control and sees this beautiful form of the Lord, and she's playing with the ball and he's attracted to her. He starts running after her, trying to catch her. And he's running through these villages. And I think she's naked at the time or something because her dress blows off by the wind. And so all these great sages that are like worshiping Lord Shiva as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's like the one who's like most in control of his senses, they're seeing him run after this woman. But the woman is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we can see just by looking at this pastime how Krishna is most attractive to everyone in the world ultimately. One is attracted to Krishna. If you're not attracted to Krishna directly, you're attracted to his external energy. Some aspect of Krishna. Everyone is ultimately attracted to Krishna, as Prabhupada would bring out. But for one who becomes attracted to Krishna's personal form, they benefit the most. As I had mentioned in a previous class, when in the arena with Bali Maharaj and Vamana Dev, when Vamana Dev appeared, everybody was very captivated by his beauty because he was so effulgent and he had this, perfect attractive appearance that even the sister of Bali Maharaj thought, oh, he is so cute, so sweet. And then she had this affection for him like a mother. But then later, after he cheated Bali Maharaj, she was thinking, like kind of that rascal woman today. And so, but later, because she had this affection for him like a mother, later, when Krishna appeared in his original form as Krishna, she appeared as Putana. And she appeared as Putana. She tried to kill Krishna, by ultimately having him suck her breast. She had poisonous milk. And, but because she had attempted to do this, Krishna accepted that little tiny bit of motherly affection, even though it was pretty, kind of disturbing. She wanted to kill Krishna at the same time. And she became one of Krishna's nurses in the spiritual world. She has this rasa with Krishna like a mother. So therefore, this is the all attractiveness of Krishna. So we can become attracted to Krishna simply just by hearing about him, like Rukmini Devi. All she did was hear about Krishna, and she decided, okay, I will accept no one but Krishna as my husband. And she wrote to Krishna, Krishna, please come kidnap me Rakshasa style, and take me away from this, because they're trying to arrange my marriage, and I don't want to marry this guy. So this is one way that one can become attracted to Krishna, simply by hearing about Krishna. We revive this original attraction to Krishna that we all have, because Prabhupada is saying here, when the living entity because he falls down from his real engagement in the service of the Lord. So the living entity has fallen down from their original engagement, from their original position. Therefore, the Lord is coming and saying, come back to your original position. This is what you're actually attracted to. You're actually attracted to my form. This is what you really want. So by hearing about this is how we remember. We recover from our amnesia. Also, another way in which we become attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is through deity worship. Prabhupada wanted this deity worship because it helps us realize the personal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You know, every day Krishna gets dressed, and there's even a pastime which sometimes his friends will come and they'll help Mother Yashoda dress him. And it goes on in the spiritual world. So here in the material world, when we're to revive our original relationship with Krishna, you know, we have this deity worship where we're dressing Krishna, we're feeding Krishna, we're singing to Krishna, things like this. And it helps us realize his personal feature. And Krishna says to Uddhava in the 11th canto, I'll bring this up. I was reading the 11th canto. There is this chapter about deity worship. You're getting towards the end of the 11th canto. Hold on one moment, please. And before we get there, there's one very nice verse where Krishna is talking about how, you know, whatever form you find yourself attracted to, that's the form you should worship. So that will increase the attraction. But then we get down to the very end here. Okay, so after all right, I'll read the text 52 because it's really sweet. 52 and 53. So Krishna says here to Uddhava, by installing the deity of the Lord, one becomes king of the entire earth. By building a temple for the Lord, one becomes ruler of the three worlds. By worshiping the deity, one goes to the planet of Brahma, and by performing all three of these activities, one achieves a transcendental form like my own. And then he says in 53, but one who simply engages in devotional service with no consideration of fruitive results attains me. Thus, whoever worships me according to the process I have just described. So this process Krishna just described, and I can't read the whole thing, but it's the process of deity worship. It's pretty long. Whoever worships me according to the process I have just described will ultimately attain pure devotional service unto me. So this is another way in which we become attracted to Krishna, by this deity worship that Krishna has, that Prabhupada has given us, this simple process. I remember being in New Nilchadam the other day during the Sunday Feast lecture. I was just amazed at the amount of devotion that Krishna Charan had for Jagannath. I think Kirtaneshwar and I were talking about this in the car on the way home. Just really beautiful deity worship that they do there. And Jagannath is so beautiful that even when the Sunday Feast lecture is going on, usually I don't stare at the deities the whole time, but I myself was looking at Jagannath this whole entire time during the lecture. It was as if, I couldn't fully take darshan. I couldn't take him fully in. Sometimes you look at the deities, you're going to take darshan for a few minutes, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm good. And then you go do something else. But in this particular instance, because Jagannath was so beautiful, I was staring at him during the whole entire lecture. And not only was I looking at him, but I also noticed a few other people that are staring at Jagannath quite often during this lecture. And it's because of the love that Jagannath is dressed with. He's extremely beautiful, and he's given so many nice offerings. You know, he has a flute, and Balaram has his club, and it's just really hard to describe, you know, unless you see it. But this is the wonderful thing about deity worship. The deity is dressed very beautifully, and therefore, you know, for the aspiring devotees, they become very attracted to this form. And it's described by becoming attracted to this form, you lose your attraction for other material things. And it said somewhere that you lose your attraction even from material lust. I learned this in deity worship course. By worshiping the deity of the Lord, you become attracted to that beauty. And then there's also a warning in this chapter, which I'll go ahead and throw this out there, just for fun, because I thought this was funny. Because it says, anyone who steals the property of the demigods or the Brahmins, whether originally given to them by himself or someone else, must live as a worm is stole for 100 million years. Not only the performer of the theft, but anyone who assists him, instigates the crime, or simply approves of it, must also share the reaction in this life. According to the degree of participation, they must each suffer a proportionate consequence. And then here it says, stealing paraphernalia meant for worshiping the Lord or his authorized representatives should be avoided at all costs. And I thought when I read that last night, we should print this out and put this in the pujar room in English in the Pali translation. Because we're often talking, joking around, you know, like the house stuff just goes missing. We're like, where did that go? That was here last week. Anyway, sometimes it reappears, yes. So we thought maybe this would deter things from going missing. You know, we'd be able to find the lighters, this, that. Anyway, I'm just joking. No offense. Hope I didn't offend anybody. But anyway, we'll stop here for questions and comments. Vancha kapa triba shakri fasindi bevacha paritanam pavni vyova shami on the manamaha. Yes, Prabhu.
Really nice class. Think about that warning, you know, kind of like sometimes these like heavy duty things in the Bhagavatam, you know, I think it's dropping Charnamrita, these heavy duty, you know, warnings. So, you know, I think it goes to show that we're really, you know, we're so ignorant that we're really mercy cases, you know, in that sense, that we're ultimately depending on Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And, you know, Krishna says, you know, apichet sudaracharo bhajate mamananyabhak, so that, you know, it's our devotion to try to serve Lord Chaitanya that gets us anywhere, because if we didn't have that, we'd definitely be worms in the stool, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, yeah, so, because there's so many things, and not just that, not like we're stealing from the Brahmins, but, you know, you're just eating a cow. If you've eaten a cow and you're, you know, eating meat, you know, for the Westerners, it's like, you know, it's like for every hair in the body of the cow, you have to suffer a lifetime in hell.
Yeah.
So we're only being elevated by Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And that kind of supports that Christian idea, you know, that no one can really deserve the Father's mercy. You know, it's through the sacrifice and through the mercy of the pure devotee, Jesus, that one gets elevated. So in the same way, we're getting mercy from the devotees and from Lord Chaitanya to have any type of spiritual advancement.
Yeah, we can't do anything perfect by our own endeavor. Like that's for sure. You had to have help. Yes.
To piggyback off of your comment, Ethan and I have talked about this before, that, you know, like there's so many you know, verses and stories in the Bhagavatam. It says, you know, like if you read this, you're going to have all these blessings. You know, angels are going to come down and make your breakfast. Okay, it doesn't actually say that, but you know, there's always these little things, and it's all over the Bhagavatam.
The polished Shrutis, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was thinking maybe that's because there's also so many ways for us to make offenses, you know, and so, you know, we're there's so many different things that like Kirtaneshwara was saying, like, you know, we're so ignorant And so there's so many ways to make offenses, but there's so many ways to get blessings as well. So.
Yeah, so many ways you very easily get blessed. It balances itself out. But yeah, no, it's just, like, it teaches us to be conscious. We have to be conscious about everything we do. Instead, like, before you can be Krishna conscious, first you have to be conscious. You can't just be doing things on autopilot. Sometimes, I catch myself, like bathing the Sheilas. I have to be very attentive. Otherwise, I may forget to put the Tulsi, and done this before. Or one time I was so tired that, I went to grab the incense and the ghee lamp to do the little artsy. And then I realized before I did that, I forgot to do the offering. I had to go back, purify the hands, and do the offering. So, we had to be very, conscious with everything we do. Just, basic level of human conscious, not be lazy, but be paying attention. And so sometimes we read things like this, it can teach us, pay attention to what you're doing,
When you said you couldn't take your eyes off Lord Jagannath, you know how sometimes we go before the deity and we just, okay, I'm good, I've seen. I'm kind of like that, maybe it's familiarity breeds contempt because every day you're seeing the same altar. So can you, I think you're more tuned into deity worship than I am, obviously. I need some help with tips on what to notice, how to meditate on the deities, because I tend to be just, okay, Hare Krishna. You see me, I see you.
I can speak from my experience. When I know that also can happen to me too. If I'm looking at the same deities every single day, it's easy to take that for granted. One of the things that helps is following Kapil Dev. He has this prescribed method in the 3rd canto in his instructions of how we should actually take darshan. And so one of the things that sometimes I'll do is I'll consciously start doing that. You start from the feet and then you work your way up. You look at the garland, start paying attention to all the features. And
Where is that?
it's in his instructions to Devahuti. I'm not exactly sure the name of the chapter. I can go look it up. But we went through it. I remember specifically giving a few classes on that, and that's there. And then also another thing that's really helpful is, or that's helpful for me, is do some chanting in front of them and offer some prayers to them, because offering some prayers, it's amazing how the deities can actually reveal themselves. I talk to the deities, and it's not that I'm so advanced that they'll answer back, but just by treating the deities like they're a person, we have all these things in Nectar of Devotion, where it said when you come in, you should ring the bell or make a noise, because it's basically like how you greet a personality. You knock on their door, let it ring their doorbell, and it says being more personal with the deity, and the thing is, and then the deity starts to reveal himself or herself with the Srimati Radharani more and more, because often if we're not, if we're just seeing the deity, we're just seeing the wood there, the marble there, but there could be something in us that's being very impersonal with the deity. There's all these things that technically shouldn't be done. There shouldn't be frivolous conversations going on in front of the deity. There's things that we do that are just really inattentive, and they're kind of offensive. We wouldn't do that in front of a great personality. So I find the more I'm unconscious that the deity is a person, he's actually there, the less I get that reciprocation, and the more conscious I am that the deity is a personality, the more the deity actually reveals himself. Whoever, yes, for Go Gorsuno.
Realize, sometime when I sit here, for the deity, I chant bhajan, I feel so much closeness, and I feel I don't have to do no kirtan somewhere else. I feel like here, like for example, when we cannot go to Harinam, I say my Harinam is here. Because I feel so really Krishna is there. And Krishna is, we feel Krishna get close to us and we become more personal when we spend hours doing kirtan for the deities. We don't have to have nobody around because some people are busy. But I feel like, I feel so happy when I do, bhajan for the deity. I feel, and they give me so much inspiration, so much beautiful song, beautiful melody, and I feel it. I feel it all the time. So that's how we can get a good closeness to the deity, not becoming personal by doing singing for them for hours. I feel that.
Yeah. Actually, it's a Prabhupada mentioned that
Huh?
Gorni Tai, they're satisfied just by chanting the holy name. So by the chanting the holy name is pleasing the Gorni Tai, especially when you're doing it consciously for them. You had something, Lolita.
I just wanted to say, like I just get to spend a lot of close personal time with the deities by dressing them, and my bare minimum of how I approach them, the bare minimum is like, what would I like? What if I was in that position? Would I like somebody to say good morning to me, to greet me in the morning? Yes, I would. And then the bare minimum also is, if this was the president of the United States of America, would I do this in front of them? And then realize that this is God. This is so much greater than that. And so if you think like, would I do this in front of the president of the United States of America? No, then don't do it in front of the deities.
Yeah. And also another thing about them like revealing themselves in that way. Everybody knows if you dress Gorni Tai, which one doesn't like to get dressed?
Oh, Lord Nityananda.
Yeah.
No. No, it is, you're right, Lord Chaitanya.
Lord, generally Lord Chaitanya was. Lord Nityananda can be a little bit of like that sometimes.
But if I don't get him first though, like he gives me trouble.
Yeah, that's true. If you don't do him first, he gives you. But everybody knows they misbehave, when we're trying to dress them. It's just like you realize their personalities. Yes, Prabhu.
This is just quick, but I will say that one time I tried to dress Lord. I said, okay, well, Lord Chaitanya always gives me a hard time. I'm going to dress him first. I sat there for 35 minutes. Lord Chaitanya wouldn't get dressed. And finally I said, fine, I'm putting you aside. I dressed Lord Nityananda in 5 minutes. And then Lord Chaitanya got dressed. But I was going to say, just to comment on Suresh Prabhu's thing, all these very nice comments about getting close to deities and definitely doing service has made me a lot more conscious of that. Waking the deities is really powerful. But for me, one thing the lady told me in Mayapur that just struck me, because Mayapur, you got to take the darshan for such a long time because they're so amazing, Radha Madhava. I just remember, try to remember something about the deity and think about it throughout the day. Like when I go to Mayapur, I always think, someone asked me, what was Radha Madhava wearing this morning? And I couldn't remember. And so it was like, you didn't really take darshan then. So, if you think like that, you think, oh, they were wearing this. I liked their garland today. I liked their crown today. And you think it sticks with you. It's just it just sticks with you throughout the day. And it was a nice meditation for me while I was in Mayapur to kind of keep my mind connected to Radha Madhava. And it's a very simple thing, but I found it was powerful.
Yeah, very powerful. They're starting to serve breakfast, and I would love to continue this conversation. I didn't realize that there was so much to be said about deity worship. I should have known better because there's more pujaris in this room. But anyway, we have to stop here. We can keep going over breakfast. So, Gangtaraj Shima Baba Sam ki jai.